Now, all of what I call the smoke screen that you hear in mainstream Christianity. Well, we're not under the law, and the law's been fulfilled, and that law was for Israel, and that law was for the Jews, and maybe that was for the Gentiles, and the law that's the old covenant, and we're not under the old covenant, and it's been nailed to the cross. All of that stuff you hear is just a smoke screen. All of it is just a smoke screen that keeps you from achieving God's objective. What is God's objective for your life? Let me tell you what it is. We go back to this pyramid. Love God. Love your neighbor as yourself, which is a summation of the 10 Commandments. In addition to that, there's 617 instructions in the Bible about how to do that. Now, do I keep all 617 laws that I find in the Bible? No, I don't. There are some laws that don't apply to me. Laws concerning a woman's menstrual cycle doesn't apply to me. I'm a man, okay? Some of the laws about slavery or owning a slave. I don't own any slaves, so that doesn't really apply to me. Plus, I don't understand yet every law that I read in the Bible. I'm a continuous work. I'm trying to understand it. But I understand something that a lot of religious people don't. God never gave a bad law. God never gave, and you've been led to believe by your church that God gave a bunch of bad laws. Yeah, that's why you have the smoke screen. Well, it's been fulfilled, it's been done away with, it's been nailed to the cross. Because a lot of you believe that God went around and gave a bunch of bad laws. A lot of you, it's time for you to come out of your church and quit being spoon-fed the nonsense you're being taught. Many of you have never learned how to love God and how to love your neighbor as yourself in the church that you're attending. You've never learned it. A lot of preachers can't go to the Old Testament. They don't preach from the Old Testament. They can't. Preachers are not going to preach about instructions they don't follow, okay? Let me repeat that. Preachers are not going to preach about instructions they don't follow. So you're never going to hear it in your church. Psalms 119 and verse 97 says, "Oh, how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day." Because why was the psalmist able to say this? Because it was instructions on how to love God and how to love your neighbor as yourself. Now I want to tell you something. You can put this in your pipe and smoke it. You will never see God until you learn how to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And a lot of you're never going to learn that in your local church because they can't talk about it. They can talk about a bunch of pablum. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. They can talk about that, yeah. But they're not talking about how to love God and how to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, I'm David Freeman, and maybe for the first time in your life, after 40 years of being in church, I've just told you what's really in the Bible and the way you should look at the law of God.
So what must I do if I want a relationship with God? Find the answers by ordering your free Bible study entitled, What Must I Do? Order by writing to Church of God Rocky Mount, 27 Brookledge Lane, Rocky Mount, Virginia, 24151. That's Church of God Rocky Mount, 27 Brookledge Lane, Rocky Mount, Virginia, 24151. Also, you can visit us online at isthatreallyinthebible.net. That's isthatreallyinthebible.net.